1800 hours, Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Farzana Khan. First, the headlines. Prime Minister says the government's smart lockdown policy had yielded positive results with sharp decline in coronavirus cases. Pakistan, China, Afghanistan and Nepal have agreed to work together to fight COVID-19. Minister for Information says the country has sufficient stock of wheat and sugar. National Assembly was informed today that all ethnicities living in Pakistan are equal and nobody will be allowed to use derogatory language against any group of people. Modi-led fascist government in India has decided to seize land and properties of pro-freedom youth and activists under Black Law Unlawful Activities Prevention Act in Indian illegal occupied Kashmir. A court in Malaysia has sentenced former Prime Minister Najib Razak to 12 years in jail after finding him guilty in several multi-million-dollar corruption deals. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan says the government's smart lockdown policy had yielded positive results with sharp decline in coronavirus cases. The Prime Minister stated this in a televised address to the nation after chairing a meeting to review situation of COVID-19 in Islamabad. He asked the nation to adopt strict safety measures on upcoming Eid al-Azha and Muharram al-Haram to prevent the virus rebound. Imran Khan warned that the government would be forced to impose strict lockdown in case of spread of coronavirus, which would result in increased financial losses and unemployment. He said, however, on getting successful in controlling the spread of virus after these two occasions, the government may open up more sectors, including schools, universities, tourism, restaurants, marriage halls, and several other areas. The Prime Minister lauded his team for performing their best in difficult situation. Imran Khan also announced that Tiger Force Day will be observed on 9th of next month to accelerate efforts for tree plantation across the country. Pakistan, China, Afghanistan and Nepal have agreed to work together to fight COVID-19 and resume economy. The agreement was reached at a quadrilateral virtual meeting of foreign ministers hosted by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said that China stands ready to continue to work with Afghanistan, Pakistan and Nepal to safeguard people's health, promote the resumption of work and enhance people's livelihood until final victory over COVID-19. Ministers from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Nepal said the three sides are willing to deepen cooperation with China to fight COVID-19, ensure the flow of trade and transport corridors, and build a Silk Road of health and a community of a shared future for humanity. Minister for Information and Broadcasting Shibli Farah says the country has sufficient stock of wheat and sugar and there is no issue of demand and supply in the products. He was briefing the media after the Federal Cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Imran Khan in Islamabad today. The minister said wheat is being supplied to the flour mills in Punjab and the provincial government is providing 16 billion rupees subsidy on the product. He, however, said the private and public sectors have been directed to import wheat to meet the deficit of 1.5 million tons of wheat. The minister said the district administration has been directed to take strict action against hoarders of wheat and sugar. The minister assured that the federal government will perform its role in the matter to mitigate the sufferings of the people of Karachi. The National Command and Operations Centre has acknowledged the efforts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. The NCOC special session was held in Peshawar today, chaired by Federal Minister for Planning Asad Umar. The meeting discussed the ground check of standard operating procedures compliance, measures to control tourist visits to recreational spots, parks and tourism sites during the Eid holidays. Federal Minister for Planning Asad Umar said the efforts of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government and the district administration in controlling the contagion outbreak deserved commendation and appreciation. On the outset of the Eid al-Azha, he said there is a need to stop the flow of tourists between the provinces and towards the famous tourist destinations of the country. Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Health, Dr. Zafar Mirza, has urged the people to strictly adhere to all SOPs on the Eid al-Azha for effective prevention from coronavirus pandemic. Briefing the media in Islamabad today, he said although the spread of virus in the country has declined significantly by 80%, however, we need to continue observing precautionary measures to reduce the spread of the pandemic. Dr. Zafar Mirza said that resurgence of the virus has been witnessed in many countries and we will have to be more cautious. He said the people should wear masks and observe social distancing during the Eid days. There is a significant increase in the number of patients recovered from coronavirus pandemic, which has risen to over 242,000 in the country. According to the latest statistics, 936 infection cases were reported in the country during the last 24 hours, taking the tally to 275,225. Meanwhile, 23 patients died of the virus during the last 24 hours, and the death toll so far stands at 5,865. The number of coronavirus cases across the world has crossed 16.6 million, while the pandemic has claimed more than 6,55,000 lives so far. The United States is the worst hit, where cases have mounted over 4.4 million and the death toll reached over 1,50,000. More than 10.2 million patients have recovered from the disease across the world. This is Radio Pakistan giving you the news. Speaker National Assembly Asad Kaisar has remarked that all ethnicities living in Pakistan are equal and nobody will be allowed to use derogatory language against any group of people. He made these remarks while responding to a calling attention notice moved by Sher Akbar Khan and Mohsen Dawar regarding failure of Pembrey to take action against derogatory contents of the dramas on private television channels attributed to Pashtuns and an objectionable lesson titled Seven Foolish Men in English textbook for grade 5 published by M.S. Gaba, educational book publisher, Private Limited, attributed to District Bunair of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The Modi-led fascist government in India has decided to seize land and properties of pro-freedom youth and activists under the Black Law Unlawful Activities Prevention Act in Indian illegally occupied Kashmir. Official sources have disclosed that Indian Prime Home Minister Amit Shah has appointed 44 new officers to accomplish the task. The decision has been taken in line with the Indian government's pronouncement to take stern action against the Kashmiri people who are directly or indirectly involved in pro-freedom activities. Modi-led fascist government of India has grabbed more than 9,600 canals of land in the name of creating 37 new industrial estates across Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The Kashmir Right to Free Information Movement, a civil society organization, in a statement issued in Srinagar, said that the act would prove to be disastrous for the agriculture-based economy. The RTI movement chairman, Dr. Raja Muzaffar Bhatt, said the authorities must take into account the unique natural and topographical features of the occupied territory. Chief of the Communist Party of India, Sitaram Yechuri, has demanded the release of all illegally detained Kashmiris who were arrested after the abrogation of Article 370 on August 5 last year and were lodged in jails of India and Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Giving details of the proceedings of the two-day meeting of the Central Committee meeting, Yechuri also called for the restoration of full communication and free movement of people in occupied territory. A court in Malaysia has sentenced former PM Najib Razak to 12 years in jail after finding him guilty on all 7 counts in the first of several multi-million-dollar corruption trials. Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali told the Kuala Lumpur High Court that after considering all evidence in this trial, I find the prosecution has successfully proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. Najib had pleaded not guilty to the charges of criminal breach of trust, money laundering, and abuse of power. And finally, the weather report. Mainly hot and humid weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 24 hours. However, rain with wind and thunder showers is likely to prevail in Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Northeast Punjab, and Kashmir. And with that, we come to the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.